Have Cheetah Will View is in the house. Thanks for coming in. Oh, it sure is. Yes, there's nobody around. Nothing happening. Happy Lux, my dear friend. Thanks for coming in. Supposed to get rain, eh? Have Cheetah Will View? That's exactly why I'm out, because I wasn't expecting the weather to be so great. And I checked it last night before I went to bed, and especially this morning, and it had changed. I think we were expecting a little bit of rain, and it didn't happen. I'm not doing anything. I'm just standing here. Antoinette Fun, good to see you here. Chef BC, Cherry Blitz VSC, thanks for coming in. Me Brain, always good to see you here. Yeah, I got up early for this. We don't always have the best luck with weather, so I have to take whatever opportunity I can. I wanted to be over by the Niagara Falls, but I found out that even my parking pass doesn't work before 6 a.m. And that would make it way too late for me to get where I need to be, because it's got to be a 20-minute walk minimum from where I would have to park to catch a good sunrise. So I'm going to have to figure something else out. There's nowhere to park where I wanted to be. You can see how fast that water's moving. This is the water that moves towards the Niagara Falls. You know, that current is out of control, right? You don't want to swim in that. Yeah, this is what separates Canada from the United States. So Canada's on the right and the United States is on the left. This structure reaches out halfway. So it looks to me like around the end of this thing is the literally where the line runs between Canada and the States. But since I was out, I was determined to get something. So this is the best view I can find a couple of miles up the river. It is nice here. There's so much area around where I live very close to Niagara Falls, just barely on the outskirts, right? And there is so much to see all over the place. Pardon me while I plug my charger in. I found this website. It's called suncalc.net, C-A-L-C, suncalc.net. And what it does is it shows you on a Google map exactly where the sun's going to come up or go down. So if you're doing what I'm doing, you can find the perfect place to sit to get a photograph or a video. I thought it was the coolest thing when I found that a while back. Hopefully over the course of the summer I'll get a couple of better ones. I'll get a one over each of the 2 different Niagara Falls. It's nice. You can hear all the birds and everything else. You can hear the water flowing. There's literally nothing, no cars, no people. We're under heavy lockdowns right now, so can't really do much of anything. I'm losing track of time when it comes to these lockdowns. It was supposed to have been another, 4-week thing or whatever they call, 28 days at a time. But we are under the hardest lockdowns, which means a stay-at-home order, they call it. You're not supposed to leave the house except for essentials. But I'm getting exercise right now, standing here doing nothing, of course. But then they added curfews. So after a few weeks, 2, 3, 4 weeks, they'll relieve the curfews. We may or may not relieve the stay-at-home order. I haven't had a haircut since Christmas. I don't expect to get one for 2 or 3 months from now. So yesterday I went out and I did a stream in Niagara Falls. I walked through the main tourist street and by the falls. There's nobody around. Everything's closed. What the city's doing though is they're taking advantage of the time and they're doing a lot of maintenance work. So they've got everything ripped up. You can't even drive into the tourist area, and they've got people working in there. So it's good that they're at least doing that. When we get back there, we will at least see it'll be nicer than ever. Crowned with glory, I am literally just outside of Niagara Falls. So you see where the water is flowing, that's toward the actual Niagara Falls. But I wasn't able to get over there to catch the sunrise over there, so I'll have to try another time. have cheetah view. You went to the falls once. Very cool. I love it here. I never get tired of it. That's quite a long name. I've never had to pronounce it on a live stream, so thank you for coming in for the first time. Josette Ali, Brasileira. No, I'm pronouncing it right. Brasileira Noel Guito. I hope that I'm pronouncing that somewhat right for you. But it's great to have you here. Thank you for coming in. This is the thing about getting up at a different time. We're able to catch people that usually aren't able to catch a lot of the live streams. I live in the Eastern time zone, same as New York or Toronto. So most of my stuff for anybody in Europe, Asia is way late. So thank you all for hanging in. I'm on the Canadian side. Canada is on the right. The United States is on the left. The way we're facing right now, I'm really kind of facing a little bit more accurately towards Buffalo, New York. So Niagara Falls, New York is on the extreme left, but we're not really seeing much of that at all. Most of what's off in the distance there seems to be all industrial stuff and this and that, not the heavily populated area. And Canada does have its beautiful parts. I'm very lucky to live around here. I grew up in Toronto, but I moved to Niagara Falls about 5 years ago. Our quarantine restrictions are very, very heavy right now. So we're on what they call a stay-at-home order, which is the heaviest lockdowns you can have. So there's no eating in restaurants, indoors or out, no going anywhere, no gatherings. If you are a person who lives alone, you're allowed to visit one other household, and that's meant to be for mental health more than anything else. But other than that, there's no Christmas, there's no birthdays, there's no Easter, there's no, Mother's Day by the look of it. That kind of thing. They don't want anybody around each other basically at all. And on top of that, now they've got curfews. So it's debatable whether those curfews will be enforced. But for argument's sake, they're in place. You're allowed to go to the pharmacy, the grocery store, work if you work in essential, and you may be asked to prove that. And then otherwise just for exercise. I'm very lucky. Most people don't know, but I work 3 days a week in this season, like spring, summer, fall, in construction. Just like construction, it's me and a guy in a truck. We do driveways and concrete, stuff like that. But because we do so much in safety, we're always being called for things like drains and catch basins popping out of the ground, or potholes, and things where people could trip and fall. So I'm lucky I get to still work at least a few days a week. That's why Tuber Chat never runs during the week. It only runs Friday to Sunday, or Friday to Monday. For those of you who live stream or are thinking about doing it, it's only the other day that I found that Nightbot feature that lets you throw a weather report into your stream. And I thought that was really cool. I've been watching a lot of outdoor live streamers. I was watching a guy walking through New York City the other day, and he had that popping up. And I thought it was cool because it gives you an idea of exactly what's happening, right now where they are. Yeah, I gotta tone these things down. So when I had set this stuff up, I'm used to Tuber Chat, right, which is very, very busy. So the chat only holds about 15 minutes worth of history. So I fire the bots off once every minute because there's so much chat activity, it's not annoying. But here on these streams, I got to look after. But I think there's another channel that I'm starting, and on that one, there's nobody there yet. So the chat holds for an hour and a half. So instead of dropping, one message every minute or every 2 minutes, better off dropping one every 20 minutes, so that the chat's not overwhelmed. You can really control these things to say, like, look, if nobody's around, calm down a bit. But I haven't changed that on my personal channel. I do so much experimenting with this stuff. I play around with it all the time. Half the stuff doesn't work, or I can't get it to work and stuff like that. But it's just for learning, so that I can, help everybody else when it comes to, Tuber Chat, or I run a couple of other channels and this and that. So it's a copyright-free music channel. All the music that I have for Tuber Chat, I've only got about 18 songs so far. I used to be a DJ. That doesn't matter, but it just, whatever is notable. But I have a bunch of music. It's ghost-produced stuff, so you can hire these services and they just make music. They're the kind of people who know how to make great music but don't know how to market it. So you can buy the songs outright. So I own like 18 songs now. So I have them, and I just play them in the background of Tuber Chat, so that if I have to be quiet for a second, it's not completely silent. And I decided after a while, why don't I make that same music available as copyright free? Because the Tuber Chat people are always going to be looking for, music and different resources when it comes to their YouTube channels and stuff like that. So it's hard to explain the name. It's the words thrive together with no vowels, and it's listed on the Tuber Chat front page. But I've started putting the music out. It's only experimental. I don't know what I'll do with it. We'll see if everybody likes it, if it flies. But I'll keep at it for a while and we'll just see. Talent buyer in California. Okay, so a lot more involved than what I'm talking about. I had worked for one record label here in Toronto for a while, but I was just doing their website. I used to work in radio, a lot of the major pop radio stations here over the years. So for argument's sake, we could assume that I have a clue, but it's not like I'm not expecting the channel to do very much. It's just an add-on, considering that Tuber Chat is working out and there's enough people around. And copyright-free music, there's for the second time I've heard of a problem. So first of all, I heard that some people made intros with one of those apps, and I don't want to name because I don't remember which one is the one. Anyway, so thousands of people are out there using the music, and then all of a sudden the record labels change rights on a song. Somebody buys a song from somebody else. Now it's not copyright free anymore, and all the creators get copyright claims. So that's a possibility. I've put a lot of music up on my channel that I was involved with that have copyright claims on them, which is fine, but some of the songs end up just getting blocked entirely after and stuff like this. So I know how annoying that is for people. And I've put a couple videos up on my own channel with copyright-free music, and one of those songs now has changed rights, and I have to go and look and inspect and see if a couple of my videos got copyright claims now. But it's too bad you put all this work into a video, hoping to monetize it, and then all of a sudden it just stops one day, right? You could invest time, maybe even money. So I know how frustrating that is. So at least if I'm putting out copyright-free music, everybody knows that they can trust it. Oh yeah, thank you. Have Cheetah will view. Sam's Vlogs, Trains and More. Good to see you so early. Is the earliest you've ever seen me. Thank you everybody for hanging out. sun is expected to be up in about 12 minutes. I got up early for this. Not early enough, apparently. Next time I try to do this, I'm going to have to get up an hour earlier. Anybody that's used to seeing me would still be in bed. Most, anyway. I'm happy to be able to get up and catch something different, but I'm going to try to do this a few times. You know, it's always weather dependent. This is the first time that I've been able to catch perfectly clear weather in the morning and been able to be available to get up and do this. So it's spring now. It's about 10 degrees Celsius or 9 or something like that. Before this, we've had rain for a few weeks and snow before that. Now we're expecting the sun for about 10 minutes from now. But we're learning something together here, because when they say, you know, sunrise today is supposed to be 6:19 a.m. my time, I don't know if that means that's when the sun starts to peek over the horizon. We'll find out soon. Yeah, if I'm quiet enough, you can hear everything. That train, all these different birds. It'd be nice if I could catch a loon somewhere. Most people probably haven't heard that in real life. I don't know if they're only in Canada or just prominent. I haven't been to Buffalo in a long time, but when I was DJing, still, I went a couple of Canadian geese there. I was lucky enough to somewhat, you could almost call it touring around the northeastern states. So never flights or anything like that, but I did play in all the major cities in the Northeast, and so therefore crossed the border somewhere between 100 and 200 times. And some of it was in Buffalo, and most was in Niagara Falls. Once or twice I crossed in Windsor, Detroit. It's interesting how you might, find yourself visiting a place regularly, even for a year or two, and then all of a sudden not. To think about it, I don't think I've been to Buffalo for 5, 6, maybe even 7 years, maybe even longer now. And I was going at least through there every week for a couple of years. Yeah, the weather forecast is wicked. I was so excited. I saw that on a live stream the other day from a guy who walks around New York City, and I immediately had to get that added. Oh, are you in Detroit for real? Forgive me for not knowing that. Nightbot has commands available, so this one here, I can send you a message to show you how to do it, but I just learned from, as soon as I saw it in somebody's stream, I just went on YouTube and typed in how to get the weather from Nightbot, and it shows you. You can set it up where people can use it in your chat so that they can look up their local weather, or you can set it the way I have to automatically just drop the weather for a specific city every once in a while. "17 miles from Ann Arbor." I can't for the life of me remember if I actually played anywhere right in Detroit. I don't think I ever did. I would go through there when I had to go to Chicago. I went to, I can't remember how many times I went through Windsor. I think I played, I know I played in Chicago and Green Bay for 3 days. I was there. And then I spent a lot of time going to Dayton, Ohio. But I don't remember if I had to go through Windsor for that or not. There's a lot more to these robots than most of us even touch on, but it depends on what's appropriate for your stream, right? Some of it is fun to play with. Like, you can set up a command where somebody can type in exclamation mark, the word 8 ball, like the number 8 and the word ball together. And if you remember when you're a kid, these a lot of people had that magic 8-ball thing. You shake it, it's got a little window in it, and a little thing pops up, so you can ask it a question, and it's always a yes or no question, and then it'll come up with funny little answers. So you could have this thing available in your chat where people could type in 8-ball and then ask it a question, and it'll come back with something funny, and you can change all the answers and stuff. But you just have to decide if some of these things are appropriate for your stream. There's other games that are much more involved, text-based games, but you have to decide how much of your stream you want to spend teaching everybody and explaining how to play the game. But the weather report, I think, is cool. I'm sure there's lots of other stuff that we could do that I don't even imagine right now. where we are along the river here, it goes for forever, as you can imagine, right? And all the way along, they've got little places that are, I don't know, I guess like have nice views and this and that. There's benches that have been put there for people to chill and relax and stuff. So it's nice enough, that's for sure. We're starting to see flowers, although the trees are just barely starting to get their leaves back. It's funny how I see what you're saying, have cheatable view. It's funny when you live somewhere, though, you look at it differently as people who are visiting, right? People will come to just about anywhere that they've never been and say like, oh wow, this is beautiful, this place is so nice. Like, no, it's not. It's old, it's broken, there's garbage everywhere, but you know, your eyes are a little bit different when you're visiting. I never cease to be amazed at the force of this water. I don't know how ridiculous it sounds for me to say that, but I mentioned it at least once a stream, I think. Because if you think about it, this water has been doing this forever and never stops. Right? Like, where does it go? It's the idea. Is there trash on our side? Not here. When I think about that, I think about like growing up in Toronto, right? So I do love Toronto as a city. You know, I'm happy to have lived there, proud to be there. It's always home, you know, but it's got its areas that are unkept just like anywhere else, right? So, you know, somebody might come to Toronto and say, oh, wow, you know, this place is beautiful. This place is, you know, amazing and stuff like that. But I see it as, you know, when you walk by it every day, you see maybe a little more detail. I don't know if that's right. You know what I'm saying, though. But you know, Toronto's a pretty well-kept place overall. And where I am now, like around Niagara Falls here, is spectacularly kept. It's nice to see a place like that. Like Niagara Falls relies on tourism very much, right? And it's nice to see, like I said, now that we're under restrictions that are so heavy, the city is taking advantage and cleaning things up. What they're doing is like, you know, when you go through a sidewalk, I don't know how many people know what I'm talking about when I mention interlock, but that's like a sidewalk that's all made of brick, for argument's sake. And what they're doing now is they're cleaning it all up. So if there was any like movement of the ground, because in Canada, the way that everything freezes and thaws every year, it makes things move a lot. It destroys our roads and our sidewalks and, you know, all our concrete and structures and stuff like that. So they're taking advantage of the time to fix any trip hazards and stuff like that. But it just keeps the place looking nice. But it's beautiful and completely, like, you know, it always looks like it's just been cleaned. To me, anyway. I haven't walked by anywhere noticing that it was horrible. I did go to the downtown area the other day and I tried to do a stream that didn't work out. While I was there, I was complaining about the fact that there was so much trash. And what it turned out, it looked like somebody had just thrown all their stuff within the last 24 hours all over the place. So it's not that the area was dirty, it's that somebody had done that. Around here they do a lot of, you know, there's flowers and stuff like that in different areas that are just random. It just looks nice to drive by and stuff like that. So it's nice that they care. Toronto is massive, yeah. It's very flat. I mean, now the downtown area has gotten crazy with its skyscrapers and this and that, but it spans out so far. But we don't have a difference between, you know, same as a lot of major cities, you know, for Detroit and Chicago and Boston and all these, where the outlying cities, you can't tell the difference crossing the street whether you're in one city or the other. They just continue. There's no farms in between or parkland or anything like that anymore. Makes sense, Sam. Yeah, it can get pretty cold. We're not even in the worst part, right? Toronto, Niagara Falls and all this. We're all like right on the... We're as south as you can get in Canada as far as, you know, where our areas are. But some of the other cities, like Winnipeg is a popular city, and they just get hammered with snow, you know, at least a month earlier than us, if not earlier. And yeah, there's a lot of places that have it a lot worse. Now, I don't know about how warm they get. If you travel, let's say 3 hours or 4 hours north from Toronto in the summer, it's blazing hot. Feels just as hot, maybe hotter than it is here. Open Lambert's fading a little each year, yeah. I'm sure there's little pockets, you know, when I say there's no farms left and this and that, there is, but they're few and far between, and far less than, you know, 20, 30, even 40 years ago that I would somewhat remember. There's our friend now. crazy how fast it's moving. I don't know how well you can see that. Standing here, I'm actually like, I feel like I can see the sun actually move right now. I caught a sunset by the Niagara Falls the other day too, and that was much different because if you can imagine the way that we're looking, the sun can never set over the Niagara Falls. It only rises, right? And but the sunset that I filmed, what happens is, the sun's obviously setting behind us, but eventually what happens is facing the Niagara Falls, and they've got lights that they use to shine on it, and it's really spectacular to see. So we're able to see, the sun go down, things get dark, and then all of a sudden these lights come on, and it's really interesting. Let's just say. 15, 18, yeah, similar. May Brahim, thanks for hanging out. I know you've been here a while. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I keep saying me Brahim, and I forget who were we on? Was it Ben? Might have been Ben Newton. Or somebody we were watching for a few minutes. When I say that I work a few days a week, me Brahim knows very well, but when I work a few days a week, I work with another guy, and it's his channels that I run and help with and produce the videos and stuff like that. But anyway, because we're so involved in YouTube, like we're watching it all the time. So I stay with my friend while I work for those few days a week. So we have all our meals together and stuff like that, and we'll fire up the TV and watch a few vloggers and stuff like this on YouTube. People we've been following for years now. And it's interesting to see some of the crossover. I watch things now that I never would have expected. And you watch things based on who you're with, right? If you're alone, you're just watching whatever comes to mind or whatever interests you. But when somebody else is in the room with you, now you've got to find things you both can watch and stuff like that. So my understanding about going this bit with going over the falls, stuff like that, it happens a lot more frequently than any of us would ever wish. But I don't know the truth about that. I haven't talked to anybody who's really an authority about it to know. What they do have, they've got this thing, it's a horn that blows and you hear it regularly. Now that's not necessarily because that's happened. It's just because there is apparently some kind of a dangerous situation or something like that. So, they're very prepared for all this. Like I said, it probably happens more than any of us would ever wish, of course, but hopefully a lot less than we think. Midnight Hour podcast on Sunday nights. I haven't heard of that or seen it. I don't think I've heard of it anyway. My friend is he's able to travel, more than I am and this and that, and he loves for the last couple of years been able to go over to Thailand and a couple of other countries around there, Vietnam and this and that. And we started watching many years ago. I don't even remember how it started. You're watching YouTube and all of a sudden stuff comes up because it's recommending things to you. Now it's been so long, 4 or 5 years, I can't remember how it started. We started watching these vloggers, and they were doing a lot of this, outdoor live streaming and stuff, and we still follow some of them today. And it's interesting. This is why now I started to search out a little bit of it just to see what people are doing when they do these outdoor live streams. Like in New York, we got a guy in Toronto who's growing fast. "10 p.m. Eastern, the Midnight Hour podcast." I'm going to have to see what that's about. Very cool, Sam, yeah. Haven't done much traveling at all for quite some time. Hopefully, eventually. You know, you always think there's next week, next month, next year, until we go through a year like we've all just had. Now you can't go. Couldn't cross the border if I wanted to. So then we'll see what happens when things open up if I go rushing over there. People ask me all the time, have I been to, how many times do I cross the border? I must go all the time now. I know, I think I've been 2 or 3 times since I've lived here. Because I can always go next week, right? Except for now. Action Kid, yes, that was the one. Me brain. Is it possible I saw you in there? I didn't chat. I was just watching it. That's where I saw this weather report. Action Kid, that was it. He was walking around for a while, and then he got on a scooter and started driving through everywhere. I think that was the first time I've seen that particular channel. But that was just for looking for it. Yeah, I have Cheetah Will View. I'm not as much on the news lately as I usually have been. I used to get onto the news. We've got one of those radio stations that gives you the 10-minute scoop, 24 hours a day. So you can just hop on, find out what's going on, and stay caught up. And I haven't been doing a great job of that lately. Most of my news now comes from friends sending me stuff on Instagram or Facebook Messenger. Yeah, I'll probably start watching Action Kid. He does a great job. Mark McEwen, thanks for coming in. I want to do a better job even myself when we're out here doing this stuff. I know I do a lot of talking about live streaming and the technical stuff that we're doing, and I'm trying to get my head into a space where I can get away from that. It's so natural for me to always want to talk about tech and social media and marketing, and not the aspects of enjoying a sunrise like we're looking at and listening to the sounds that are happening. So I'm trying to get that in mind so I could do a bit of a better job. Some of these guys do it naturally, responding to the chat, and things people are talking about more than just talking. You guys know I could talk. Are you meeting up with them? Mark McEwen, you're going kayaking for real, eh? Oh, have Cheetah Will View, you do live streams in Instagram. I haven't thought about doing that yet. I know it's an option. And we've got friends. We have mutual friends that are going to, start trying to get monetized on Instagram and stuff like that. I don't know why I'm not drawn to it the same way I am to some of the other platforms. So now I've started experimenting with multi-streaming to DLive and Twitch, and eventually I'll try Facebook and stuff like that. Every network that we touch is just more work. I had said that a long time ago. I've been in social media for a long time. And when it started, when Facebook came out, I said to everybody, here we go. It's more work, man. First, we got to update our website. We got to check our email. We got to check our MySpace. Now we got to check our Facebook. I don't even remember some of the networks that disappeared. You remember Foursquare? I was running bars and restaurants for many years, and the thought after Facebook was like, oh, what's going to be the next one? We gotta get these locations. People are going to start coming in real life off the internet. And Foursquare was supposed to be this big thing. I'll laugh. I got to see what Mark McEwen's got coming up. For those of you from Tuber Chat, Mark McEwen is actually our featured channel for today. He's an incredibly supportive creator. I really appreciate everybody hanging out here. On my personal channel, I do a lot of variety, and I don't know. Like I said, I use it for experimenting. Way behind on posting videos, of course. But I appreciate everybody hanging out, and visiting me over here. Mod blog. Oh, okay. I don't even know if I knew that one, to be honest with you. I barely remember Live Journal and Blogger, which I think is still somewhat running, and I can't remember what they bought. Another one. I was right into all that stuff. Now it's getting a little bit nuts because there's new networks every week, and then you don't even know if they're going to do anything. Clubhouse is this big thing right this second that people are talking about, but I don't know if it's going to fly. You know who's going to win? Anybody who was doing podcasts for the last 10 or 20 years and never quit. I did a podcast with a friend of mine from the radio. We did it for 10 episodes, not even consistently 10 weeks. And it was so much work. It was a labor of love, but I was expecting it to take about 2 hours a week, and I misjudged bad. It took between 6 or 8 hours. My whole Sunday was spent doing that. And I was like, oh, this is... to do something just for fun with no real plan for monetization or expansion or anything, I had to stop. But people who persevered with that and are, podcasting is talked about every day now. It has been for a long time, but I just mean right now, the biggest companies, Spotify, Apple, everybody are trying to hammer down that market. Mark McEwen, this is your first social platform? I don't have a raid plan Sunday for Tuber Chat, if that's what you're asking, Sam. Today, Vern's Junk Closet will go after Tuber Chat. Next week, I might have them lined up. I got to see what I'm going to do, because Friday is the 1-year anniversary of Tuber Chat, and then a few days later is episode number 200. Oh, thank you, Antoinette at Fun. The midnight hour is really growing. I'm going to have to see that. You know, it's fun when we all connect like this, right? And talk about live streaming and, you know, like the different things we're doing with our channels and stuff. The whole reason that I'm motivated, I shouldn't say the whole reason, but you know what I mean, to get up and catch the sunrise today is because Two Pineapples has been doing it lately, you know, regularly. So I caught them with another sunrise. I don't even remember how many they've done. I caught one the other day, and I was like, man, I gotta get on this. We talk offline, right? Two Pineapples a friend now, and we talk about this stuff. And I said, you know, we see this golden opportunity where everybody's watching, you know, YouTube more than ever, and will be probably for quite some time to come. So now that the weather's going to get good, and you know the saying, you know, I wish I knew then what I know now, right? But we know now. We've had enough experience at all this. We can see what the next few months will be like. Who's the fool if we don't get out and take advantage of this stuff? Now, it's not for everybody. It's not that everybody should run out and catch a sunrise. You know, I'm just doing this to do it more than anything else. But I expect to get a lot of, you know, this outdoor content and stuff. But it's got to be got while the getting's good, right? The weather is just barely starting to become tolerable for this. So we want to like build catalogs of content for argument's sake. And it's great when you can reuse the stuff. So I've got a GoPro going as well, filming the same thing that we're watching, just in case I can get any use out of that. No reason you can't chop that up and make a couple of time lapses, make a TikTok or an Instagram story, or photos for Pinterest and all that other stuff. 18 Celsius, eh? And sorry, Mark McEwen, where are you at? I feel like I must have known, and I'm not remembering right this second. Matter of fact, where's everybody? I don't know how many people are still with us here in the chat, but for anybody that's still here with us, let me know, let everybody know where you're from, where you're at. So you are in Hawaii. Okay, Mark, I got confused there for a second, because that seems a little bit cool to me for where you are. Me Brames, North Carolina. I unfortunately haven't ever been able to see that. It was a little bit far for me, my time in the States. I believe I drove through one time during a long trip, and I can't even remember where we were coming from. Might have been like, guessing, I don't know, could have been Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. And somewhere on the eastern side of the middle, if you want to call it that. And then we were heading to Florida. So we had to go for, I forget, it took us 2 days or something like that. Arizona. Okay, I should have known that, so forgive me. Michigan, have cheetah wolf view. So you must be right on a... I'm trying to remember for the life of me. You said Ann Arbor earlier, and I can't remember. I don't have the map in my mind to remember. You know, these are the kind of things I was just explaining to my stepdaughter yesterday. We're talking about school, you know, she's talking about math. She's saying like, oh, you know, we're learning all this stuff and we're never going to use it. And I'm like, well, you'd be surprised. I say you don't have a choice. You have to spend the time in school anyway, so you might as well, not waste the time and do well, learn what they have, because you don't know. So what I'm thinking about now is when we talk about geography, I couldn't have cared less while we were in, high school and this and that. And I wish I paid attention, because still to this day, I have to look at a map to remember where a lot of the countries are when we're talking about friends or when we're talking about news and things like that. Could have done a better job by doing a little bit better while we were there. History as well, right? Often have to look at a map. I think so, me brain. So forgive me, because I could be mistaking my story. But I feel like I drove through. North Carolina once, and it was. I just think that when we were on our way, what happened is we were driving so I had this guy, for argument's sake, we'll call him my agent, right? The guy who used to book all my gigs in the States. We started running our own stuff after when I was DJing, but when he used to book me, what would happen is a lot of times we'd go together. So we would end up doing these parties, and it's just because we had a couple of contacts in Florida, and it ended up making sense to go. We went to Jacksonville and ended up going to a gig that didn't work out, and then went to Tampa to go and pick up some printing stuff. It was cheaper for us to drive the extra, I think it's 4 hours or something like that, from Jacksonville to Tampa, instead of having the stuff shipped to us since we were already close. But on the way there, I just don't remember the particular trip that day or that week, but where we must have been. And I remember the truck having a problem. I forget if it was a flat tire or something we had to have fixed. We had to go to I think it was a Pep Boys or something like that. It's too bad, we get older and our memories start to fade. My sister and I will tell stories, and we'll tell the stories differently. We were both there, we both know we're right, but our answers are different. I wish I could remember more accurately, and I've never been one for taking a lot of photos and stuff, and now I wish I had. Video wasn't quite as big a thing back then. Phase Yoda Face King, thanks for coming in. The weird-shaped island on the other side of the Atlantic. That's an interesting way to put it, Sam. You don't teach history there anymore? It's all revised now? Yeah, the education system's a little bit different, eh? I've heard they're teaching financial literacy. And forgive my sarcasm when I say I'd like to know what on earth they're going to teach people in school. That's one of my wishes, is that they would actually teach real financial literacy so that people could be better off leaving school. When I was a teenager, I started working when I was like 11 years old. As soon as somebody paid me to shovel the first, snow off the driveway or cut the first lawn, I started walking through the neighborhood, getting everybody I could to pay me to cut their lawns and shovel their snow. And when I had paper routes, I had 2, I wanted 3, and they wouldn't give it to me because they said it's physically impossible for a person to get the newspapers out by 11 a.m. with 3 routes, so you can't. Because I didn't understand, right? I just thought if I could just get another part-time job, sometimes I'd have 4 jobs at once. Or, I'd always be chasing that extra $1 an hour when I used to make like, $6, $7, $8, $9 an hour. I'd be like, oh, if I could just make $10 an hour instead of $9, I'd be rich. That $40 a week I'd put in the bank and everything, and that never happened. I think most people have ups and downs when it comes to finances, but if you can make the downs a little bit better and not blow everything when things are good, then you'd be better off. So it's interesting to see what's going to be taught now. Okay, thank you, Sam's Vlogs Trains and More. 1,000 papers. Mark McEwen. You know what I used to do well with was, you know, I was in Boy Scouts and this and that, and sports always, like baseball in the summer, hockey in the winter. I was lucky my parents could put me in that stuff. But what would happen is you got to sell like chocolates and cookies and apples and, you know, all kinds of other stuff. I did spectacularly with that. And not from being taught. That was instinct. You know, not that it's paid off, but what would happen is they'd say, you know, oh, we're going to give you these chocolates. You got to go sell them. How many cases do you want to sell? And I'm like, well, how many can I have? You know, I said, why don't you let everybody else take what they want first, give me the rest, and I'll sell them all. Because I can sell, let me guess, it's, you know, 4 o'clock, I get home from school. I guess I got to eat dinner at some point, but as long as I'm home by 9, I got 5 hours, I could probably hit every house in the neighborhood. So it never used to bother me to do that. You know, to walk up to people's houses, even with the newspaper. I mean, people aren't too mean when you're, you know, really young, when it's a kid coming to the door to do a newspaper or something like that. But, you know, there's some people who tell you to get lost, and it never bothered me. $70 papers on a bike or 1,000 in a truck. There you go. Yeah, Fazio to Face King, thanks for hanging out. Thank you, everybody, for chilling with me. They used to give us this cart. We used to walk around with our newspapers. They made a joke about that in the office. I used to watch that television show all the time, and he goes, one of the guys goes, because they had to be up early, I guess. I don't even remember that story. Anyway, he said, hey, you know the newspaper? It's not a kid on a bike, it's a guy in a car. I used to do a handful of different jobs, man. I used to get ripped off all the time. I used to work for banquet hall. They had like every kid in the neighborhood eventually worked in this place. The lady running it would just never pay. When it was time to get paid, you'd go like once a month and she'd be like, okay, well, just sit here and wait. I'm going to get the calendar out and we're going to see what I owe you. And it never equaled what we all thought. Everybody worked there and everybody quit. I used to get these part-time jobs to fill the day. I worked at Wendy's for half a day. I worked there for like an hour or whatever it was. Walked in, it was raining on my first day. And I didn't need the job, I just wanted another part-time job, I guess. So I walk in and they're like, okay, you gotta wipe the tables. All right. So I walk around, wipe all the tables, spray and wipe them. Okay, the tables are wiped. And they say, okay, well, I don't know, maybe wash the windows. All right. So I go and spray the windows, wash the windows. Come back and say, like, okay, windows are all washed. Like, okay, maybe wipe the tables down again. I said, listen, I understand we're in the McDonald's attitude here where everybody has to be working every second of their shift, but I really did just wipe those tables down. And I said, well, that's the way it is. And I said, all right, well, I'm just going to leave then. So that job didn't work out. In-day querying vlogs, thanks for coming in. 7 years without a day off, my goodness. Oh, bartending shift too, eh? Oh, the thumbnail I just stole off Google, whatever came up when I typed in sunrise, right? I'll see if I can find a good shot out of the video and replace it maybe afterwards. So thank you everybody for hanging out. I'm going to cut it now. We've seen our beautiful sunrise. I really appreciate everybody hanging out. I didn't know what to expect for today. And it was kind of a last minute decision to be over here. I'll try to get some better sunrises through the next couple of months. Oh, Phase Yoda Phase King. Yeah, YouTube's always purging everything. They take thumbs up, they take subscribers, they take watch hours. It happens to everybody. So the only way really to think about that is to, whatever you're aiming for, like if you want your 4,000 hours of watch time, aim for 5,000. And what will happen is by the time you get 4,000, within a week or two, you'll end up having 5,000. That's what happens frequently to people. It's unfortunate, but there's not much we can do to combat that. And thank you, have Cheetah Will View. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see everybody soon.